Back to the One Celtic Fans View today. Yes, lots of transfer speculation about one of the Celtic wingers. Who could it be? Yep, it's Nico Kuhn. Looks like Brentford are one of the teams, and Brentford are claiming, there's noise coming out of England that Brentford are claiming that they are favourites to land Nico Kuhn. Nico Kuhn, who joined Celtic from Rapid back in January 2024, he's had an interesting time at Celtic. His first 6 months at Celtic were not anything to write home about. A lot of people were saying, is he the player that people say that he is? Move the camera a bit. Is he the player that people say he is? Brendan Rodgers said, look, it wasn't Brendan Rodgers' problem, was it? Anyway, yeah, it was. No, it wasn't. It was. Jesus, it's one of those mornings. It's far too early. I've not even had a coffee this morning. But anyway, the chat was, let him get a pre-season in at Celtic and you'll see a much better player. I'll just get this. And you remember back to the Dundee United game. Where Nico Kuhn scored, and he done this to the Celtic fans. Yep, he made this little, I'll do my talking on the pitch. Obviously, it looked like Nico Kuhn had lost a bit of form. In the second half of last season. And let's face it, with the arrival of Jota, Kuhn just didn't perform. He didn't perform the way that he can, and maybe his head was turned. Maybe his head had already been turned at that point. Some Celtic fans are saying. So the question is, would you take... Morning, Da, you're up early. Jesus, what's wrong with you? Would you take 20 million? That's the question. Would you take... Would you take 20 million? So that's the question in the poll this morning. Would you take £20 million for Nico Kuhn? Would you take £20 million? Answer that in the comments section. The poll that's going, if you are on the live. So yeah, 20 million, I think is a good piece of business. For a player, David Lamont, you just stole my thunder. David Lamont says, I'd take 20 million for Kuhn. He down tools the second half of the season. Stephen Johnson says no. Peter Larkin says sell Kuhn. Gary, who cares about Sevco? Tam says take 20 million. Joseph Davison says, I think all the attention went to Jota and he didn't like it. I thought that I said it at the time, Joseph. I said it at the time that I thought it would be a fantastic end to the season to see Kuhn just taking his level up a bit to prove that he's the superstar and that Jota's not the superstar at Celtic. And I thought Nico Kuhn had a perfect opportunity to thrive and if he really wanted to move this summer, to get top dollar and to go to a top club. Is Brentford, no disrespect to Brentford fans in Brentford, but is Brentford a top club? When you look at some of the clubs that Nico Kuhn had played for before he came to Celtic, you could say that they were top clubs in European football sense. He never made it at those clubs. You could say that, he's found his level, he's came down to Celtic, and a move to the likes of Brentford could be ultimately his level in a football sense. But there's also a picture that I remember of Nico Kuhn in the Champions League. And I think he got an award for something. Where's that picture again? There, it's there. Let me just upload this one. I mean, this is the level. Player of the match. You got player of the match, did Nico Kuhn. I'll just upload this one. This is the level that I think that Kuhn should be aiming for, not Brentford. He needs to be aiming for a club that is ultimately going to be getting into the top phases of European football, because he is a good player and he can turn it on, but I think this is the level that he should be playing at. He is in the Champions League Brentford's never going to get into the Champions League, and I think that as a player, he should be aiming for the stars. He has that potential. When he turns up and does it, he has that potential to be an absolutely fantastic player. And if it's not going to be at Celtic, you want him to go somewhere where he can get to that level. I'll just jump back these comments. Anything north of 25 million should be acceptable, says John. 25 million? Do you really think he's a 25 million pound player? Do you think he's as good as Matt O'Reilly? Do you think he's as good as what Jota was the first time round? I mean, we sold Kyogo for 10 million. Let's put it into perspective. I suppose Nico Kuhn is that little bit younger than obviously Kyogo. A good few years younger. But he's at that age where, he's going to go and take he's going to take the wages all day long, isn't he? 1 million per goal for last season, starting price to negotiate, the club gets 25 million. 25 million. I don't think that, Celtic will probably want the most that they can get for the player. It is the way that Celtic. If we get a good offer for Kuhn, sell him, doesn't put the ball into the box early enough, says Richard, which I think is, you're spot on, mate. Scott Howe says, just want to argue with Nigel, fragile support, and drink beer, and no sleep all night. I think Scott's been on it all night, on a midweek. Do you know? On a midweek. Mental. David will want to take 20 million for Kuhn all day. He's a great player. Let Brendan give him another season and guide him, says Scott Howie. I think that I said during the season last season, I think that he would be one player. There's 3 players that I said last season that Celtic will struggle to hold on to this summer. One of them was Nico Kuhn, one of them was Dyson Maeda, and the other one was Rio Hatate. Go yourself, Scott. Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. Grab 20 million and run. Let him disappear into obscurity, says Niall Kelly. He will do that. There's been many players. If you look at... Do you know what gets me when Celtic do get offers for players from clubs down south? And it's... You always think back, and I've mentioned this several times on the channel, and think back to what Bruni said in an interview. Bruni said the number of players that have left the group chat, and he obviously still keeps their number and they keep in touch, and 6 months later they're like, I've made the worst decision of my life, I shouldn't have left Celtic. And it's sometimes, you can look at Kieran Tierney's journey to Arsenal. Kieran Tierney took 4 days to decide whether to go to Arsenal. He's a Celtic man through and through, and he's now coming back. Jota left for big money, and you could say that he went and lived the dream, playing with all these superstars, thought it'd make him a better player, but he never got time on the pitch. He was then punted to France, didn't have many options, got sent to Rennes. Seems to be a graveyard for players, and he never excelled at Rennes. Kyogo banged on at Celtic, I want to go and play at a higher level. He goes to Rennes for 10 million, doesn't get any game time, and it now looks like he's going to get punted. You've just got to think that who advised these players, and you've got to then say, looking at it from taking your Celtic spectacles off and your green tinted glasses, and say, as a player from another country, you've came into a club and you've won everything. You've won every domestic competition. In a football sense, you want to then try yourself at another level. So you can understand why players go, I've done everything that I can at Celtic. We got to an inch within getting to the last 16 of the Champions League. What's the chances of us repeating that next year? Unless the club invest in some really good players. And then there's a chance I might get knocked out of the team. So they've got to then look at the prospect of, how can I make myself better? It's a short career for football players. They retire in their early 30s, which is nothing. If you've got life figured out by the time you're 30, you're doing far better than the majority of the population in Scotland. That's a certainty. And there's very few people that have their heads screwed on and really know what they're doing by the time that football players retire. Do you know? And I think that they think about that. So they want to experience the highest possible level that they can play at on a domestic level. Brentford might not be a big pull in some people's eyes, but it gives them a pathway. It gives them a pathway into the English Premiership. And that's one of those top 5 leagues that they keep talking about, even though that he's been at the top 5 leagues and he didn't succeed. Anyway, Danny Cassie's in the house. Kuhn doesn't put the ball into the net and the box quick enough, says Richard. If there's a 20% sell-on clause, absolutely, not a chance, says Kieran. Sell him. He's a one-trick pony, and there'll be a few teams in for him, says Peter Larkin. Mark says he wants to go and clearly drop in form and take 20 million. Take the money, one-trick pony. Quite a few folks saying that this morning. Paul Bears in the house. David said if he wants a Germany call-up, he needs to be playing European football in a top 5 league. David, I could go back to Kyogo Furiashi. He wanted to go and play football at a top league so that he could play international football. How's that working out for him? That's all that I'm saying. You know, you've got to see you've got to show the flip side. I can't just come on here and say he should stay at Celtic to play Champions League and he'll get international recognition, which I think he would. I think he honestly would. If he stayed at Celtic and if he turned it on in the Champions League and he became week after week in the Champions League, became one of those standout players in a European context, he would get a Germany call-up like that. I've no doubt in that. No doubt in that whatsoever. But anyway, he will chase the cash. At the end of the day, his agent will say, mate, I've got the chance of you taking another 10, 20 grand a week wage here. You know, jump at it. It's a short career, as his agent will say. Take the money and run, says Jerry. Ewan Boy Martin says, tell Kuhn for 20 million, sell Engels for 20 million, sell Hatate for 10 million, and sadly Maya for 20 million. That would give Brendan Rodgers £70 million to spend in the summer. Not a chance in hell. My God, would Celtic spend £70 million in the summer? That's a complete rebuild of a squad. There is absolutely no chance that Celtic will ever, in our, well, I wouldn't say in our lifetime, because the way that the football world is going, it's going pretty crazy with prices. But yeah, that's an interesting one. The Japan manager decided to experiment yesterday versus Australia. Typical, where lads missed out. Well, there you go. Just take the highest, let him go if he wants to, even if it means ending his aspirations. He would just be another ex-Celtic regretting leaving the club, said Richard. It's not always greener on the other side, said Joseph. It's not. What are you on about, big man, says Garrett. Who are you talking to? Dyson won't leave. New contract for him. He knows he's at the right club in Celtic, says Peter. I think if Celtic do sell Dyson, if they do sell Nico Kuhn, it takes the pressure off Celtic having to sell Dyson Maeda. We can knock back offers from Dyson, and I think that Celtic it'll be easy to deal with, but I think there's still there will be offers come in for him. When it comes to the poll, would you take 20 million for Nico Kuhn? There's 127 votes in this morning already. 84% say yes, 16% say no. If you're in the no vote, if you're in the no camp, let us know in the comment section why you don't think we should take 20 million for Nico Kuhn. Peter Larkin says Dyson won't leave, new contract for him, he knows he's at the right club. Garrett says take the money and run. Kuhn should be looking for Champions League team to move to Spotting Baz. Yeah, I think so, JGB. I think that's the level that you should be aiming for. I mean, you don't turn out to be a player that gets player of the match in the Champions League and then go down a peg or two and not get European football. I think that's just a step backwards for him in his career. But knowing the way that agents think and work, they'll be saying, go to this English Premiership club. And a lot of them will say, well, look what happened to one Celtic player that left, a defender, and he ended up being sold for £75 million to Liverpool. This is the kind of mindset that agents will be putting into their players. Go to this club and then you'll get the next step, in your journey. You'll get another club coming in for you. And the reality is that they go to another club and they're shite. Let's just say it how it is. They get found out at that level. So, with that being said, Brentford, let's forget all about them. Stevie Clark is over the moon that one player is returning to Celtic. I see it. Celtic are about to get done out of £6.5 million worth, unless Lewis Palmer and Gustav Lagerbielke can find clubs in the next few weeks. Yes, that was the price tag put on Gustav Lagerbielke and Lewis Palmer when they were sent out on loan with options to buy at the end of the season. But both teams have said thanks, but no thanks. They're not going to take up Celtic's offer of an option to buy. And it looks like Gustav Lagerbielke and Lewis Palmer may be returning to Celtic this summer for pre-season, unless something happens in about the next 4 weeks. It's not even 4 weeks now, is it? Yeah, it's just under 4 weeks when Celtic return to pre-season. It's going to be a happy camp, pre-season camp, isn't it? Brendan Rodgers is going to be one fucking shit. I'm stuck with a bunch of players that don't want to be here. I'm stuck with a bunch of players that I tried to get rid of, and it's like, the world of a football manager, isn't it? B says, hail Baz, I can only chat on Fridays as I work for him then. God, the life of it, working from home. A Celtic man's view. Cracking channel, mate. Kuhn hasn't been at his ability, but doesn't show it off enough. Take the money and run. Duck Soup says, remember folks, Dyson had crap spells last season too. I don't think he had as many as Kuhn. I mean, Kuhn went from being absolutely fantastic the first half of the season to looking at the other side of the pitch going, I fucking don't like you, Jota. Maybe the Germans just don't like the Portuguese. I don't know. Anyway, Paul Baird says, I think we push for at least 25 million. I think 25 million will be the magic number. Paul, when you think about some of the clubs, if Newcastle are interested in taking Nico Kuhn, they will pay 25 million all day long. Maybe they will want to wait, but if the likes of Brentford come calling first, there was also talk about Benfica, which is a strange one, but we're talking about Benfica being interested also in Nico Kuhn. For me, start a bidding war all day long. If people want to haggle over the price and offer as much as they want for Nico Kuhn, for me it's a sell. For me it's a take all day long. We know the model that Celtic play by, the business model. It's obviously a case of bringing players that have maybe not had the best of opportunities at other club, maybe just haven't reached their full potentials at other club. And let's face it, Nico Kuhn was a journeyman before he come to Celtic. From playing in at Ajax, coming through the system at Ajax, to then going to Germany, to going to Austria, Kaiser says, Baz, remember the picture I sent you with the 3 players and the prices on it? Yeah, Kaiser, I should still have that on WhatsApp. Let me just go into that just now. Media. It's months ago. You send that much pictures, mate. You're just... No, it doesn't seem to have it. Oh, it's just showing you May. I don't want May. How do you go back? I need it on my phone. No, I need it on my phone to go back further. It's not allowing you on the desktop. Anyway, do you think 26 million? 26 million you said for Kuhn? Kraft says Kuhn was getting hooked at half time during games the second half of the season. I would take 20 million for him easily. Probably worth more like 10-15 million at the moment. Interesting. You're my belly there. Announce Lennon Miller Celtic. It's Lennon Miller time, says B. Oof. Baz, the rumour true from the boy from Tesla is on his way. I have no idea. No idea. I'll wait till I get confirmed rumours rather than just... There's that much nonsense going about. Celtic have got... we're on Friday the 6th. Celtic have until Tuesday to sign a player, and then if not, they have to wait until the following Monday due to the World Club Championship being played. So if Celtic are going to do any business, it'll be between Monday and Tuesday next week, and then the transfer window closes again until the 16th, and then it opens back up until September. And it's getting a bit close to Brendan Rodgers pulling his hair out time, because I think some of the players start returning the week of the 23rd. They do return towards the end of that week, because when you think about it, we go into July and we have our first game of pre-season the 8th of July. So Brendan Rodgers likes to get around about 2 weeks training in before the first game of pre-season. So that would take it back to the 24th at least. So from the 24th of June until the 27th is the important time, because you'll see Celtic players starting to head back to Lennoxtown. And Brendan Rodgers will want at least a full week with the majority of players. Some players that are on international duty, obviously playing football with their national teams this week, this weekend, and next week, they will be given a week later to come back into training, which then brings them back right before the first game of the season, which isn't ideal, but Brendan Rodgers likes to get his players in, he says, before pre-season, and he hasn't done that too much. So the window to look out for is obviously between today, Monday and Tuesday next week, and then it is all bets are off until Monday the 16th. You've then got Monday the 16th till the Friday the 20th to hopefully start seeing players come in at Celtic. I don't think Kieran Tierney will be announced until the first day of pre-season. I've just got a funny feeling that Kieran will be away on a holiday and stuff, and I think Celtic are going to sit on it and get some good news out the first week of pre-season and bringing Tierney back. But for me, that's the big dates, the 16th to the 20th, if Brendan Rodgers does want his players in before pre-season starts. Peter Lacker says 20 million for Kuhn plus where did that one go? If you're looking at selling back in January, it would have been 25 million. His form has dropped right off his calves. You need players wanting to play for the jersey. Nothing worse than half-hearted players pulling out of tackles. More like Brown needed. Yep. In the World Cup Championship. Yeah, it's the World Cup Championship when you get 100 million. Sorry, Baz, all those pictures of my tights filled up WhatsApp. Yeah, you and your tights. And nothing will happen before the 10th of June, says Paul Baird. Yeah, you know it, mate. It's the way that Celtic go. Wasn't Marco Tilio out on loan? No. Marco Tilio was out on loan to Melbourne team. Kuhn, decent player. Even my wife noticed he's predictable. Baz, your poll should have read, would you take the entire Sevco transfer budget for Nico Kuhn? Since the Sevconians have been given £20 million of a transfer budget for the whole team. Who cares about them? Celtic will spend, I reckon that Celtic will spend in the region of £40 million this summer. That's my prediction. Celtic will spend £40 million this summer. We'll wait to see in September if I'm right. Kaiser says it was Melbourne City. Yeah, it was. Kuhn, an autumn-winter player. He hasn't done anything in both springs. Yeah, you're probably right there. If they make one signing before Tuesday, it might ease my nerves slightly, says Richard. Right, I need 20 votes. There's been 700 people in the live this morning. I need 20 votes to get this to 200. 200, and then we'll close down that poll. And then I can get on with my day until some other Celtic news. I wonder if anything will happen today. There's nothing. It doesn't look like it. There's nothing looking like it's going to happen, is there? I think if Celtic were to pull anything out of the bag today, it would be a shock to everyone. There is obviously rumours that we've made a couple of bids for players, but we'll wait and see. Let's face it, it's Michael Nicholson that's doing the yeah. Michael Bryant's in the house. Can't wait to see Tierney back. Dream come true. It's a dream come true for Kieran anyway, that's for certainty. And for a player, I mean, we all remember Kieran coming into the team, and the pictures of going off at Hampden with the cut lip. Was it his lip? I can't remember. Was it his lip or his eyebrow? I can't remember. And he had to go to the hospital and get stitches. And then the pictures of him running back up the staircase at Hampden to get back into the stadium before the final whistle so that he could get back onto the pitch, come running down that main stand and onto the pitch to get his winner's medal after being at hospital. That's what you want as a Celtic player. People that will go through. Nico Kuhn, isn't he? He pulled out too many tackles. Celtic will spend less than they bring in, that's for sure. Yeah, it was a broken jaw, wasn't it? That's right, my ball. It was a broken jaw. Some air in this place this morning. Anyway, right. I need 8 votes for the poll. 8 votes for the poll. We're going to close that down. It's sitting at 192 votes. Would you take 20 million for Nico Kuhn? If you wouldn't take 20 million, tell us in the comments. Why not? Is the early window not just for teams in the World Cup? 10 days to register players and add new ones. No, that's why it's stopped. It usually opens the 1st of June. They're having a break in it because of the Club World Cup teams where you could win 100 million in prize money. That's almost Celtic's entire turnover in one competition that Celtic aren't invited to. But never mind. Celtic can't even get automatic qualification into the Champions League, so we need to talk about that this morning. 2 votes to go. Get your votes in. Keep an eye on that because it will just jump up. Only 2 memories of Kuhn scoring against RB Leipzig, named the keeper and then sent the keeper off. Because that was his old team, wasn't it? He played for Leipzig. Kieran has the heart of a Celt. It does that. Come on, I need 2 votes. 2 people that haven't voted, get on it and vote so I can end this poll. Even though it's emphatic, 86%. You're not going to change the poll. The votes, 86% say sell Nico Kuhn for 20 million. And get him out the door. Sell him. He done nothing in the second half of the season. He was like a man down. Man in a missing shirt. Other than that, Sevco are going to take up most of the back papers today and most of the headlines due to the fact that they've got a new manager. A new manager. Oh, Jesus. We're getting 15 million in the Compo Cup and Frimpong money. Possible Matt O'Reilly money. Yeah, that's it. That's the poll completed this morning. 200 votes exactly. Would you take 20 million for Nico Kuhn? Yes, said 86% of the viewing audience this morning. No was 14%. If you're watching this on playback and it's not on the live, tell us in the comment how you would have voted. Would you have voted yes, take 20 million for Nico Kuhn, or would you have voted no, I want more money for Nico Kuhn? Or do you think that ultimately he's worth less as a player? Anyway, that's me done and dusted for this morning's Celtic transfer news update. I will be back tomorrow morning with a live 9 o'clock Celtic Park time. Yes, we're still on it, even though it is Saturday tomorrow and there is no football. Make sure you join me at 9 o'clock Celtic Park time tomorrow for a live where we can talk about any Celtic news that might have come up. In fact, why don't tomorrow we talk about who would you play at the back? Who's your preferred defenders at the moment? With news that Mark Norowski could be leaving Celtic, is your favoured back two? Is it going to be Cameron Carter-Vickers and Austin Trusty? Or is it going to be Liam Scales and Cameron Carter-Vickers? That's the poll question for tomorrow morning. On that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.